Everybody. Yes, welcome everybody. I'm going to hand it off first of all to John, who has a very powerful question for us on today's Sunday Miracle Call, Sunday Inspiration Call. Thank you for joining from all over the world. And John.
Thank you, Dr. Clint. Thank you, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here and really a joy to be able to talk to you and interact, because a lot of what I do is behind the scenes, which I'm happy to do, but it's nice also to interact. Dr. Clint asked me what kind of question I could ask everyone, and also in the chat, be sure just to say hello and tell us where you're from. But my question that I thought about, and it's something that I'm going to share an example of my own life. Maybe if there's one or two people that feel led to share, then please, I want you to share as well, is that through these miracle calls, or if you're a part of the 100-day Ancient Secrets training, how is your participation and what you've learned and been able to apply in your life? How have you been able to show up and be more present, specifically in situations that maybe before you would have reacted either, in a less than positive manner, being maybe angry or sad? How have you found that you have responded in a way that you've been able to be present and been able to really not allow the emotional, waves to sweep you away? And for me personally, a recent example was, conflict. I have a stepdaughter, she's a teen, and there were some arguments between her and my wife. And I found myself, instead of getting emotionally charged, I actually found myself more calm and present. I was able to practice, in a way, a Tithi Devo Bawa, but also to just practice understanding. I didn't try to take sides. I really just tried to understand, from my stepdaughter's point of view, what she felt, what was she feeling, what was she going through. Because these, when someone's, behaving in that kind of manner, it just means they want to be loved and understood. And my wife was the same way. And I was able to, in a way, step in and provide understanding to both of them where they couldn't provide it to each other. So that was sort of an example where I was able to recently just be present and not and respond and not react. So does anyone want to raise their hand and maybe provide an example of what you have experienced? If you know how to raise your hand on, you can go to reactions and raise your hand, or possibly it's under participants. You can raise your hand to speak.
John, it looks like Peggy's raising her hand.
No. Okay, there is. Okay, well, I saw Linda. Linda Rousseau, do you want to unmute and share?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing with us, Jonathan, because that really is a beautiful experience. I know myself, I've been finding so much opening up and insights, looking at myself and huge areas of where I can improve. But I also have had the opportunity for being able to just let go for those that don't want to accept these ancient secrets that are truly healing, and just allow them to be on their own journey and not have any judgments, but just be there for them in whatever way they want me to be there for them.
That is a beautiful gift. I've found that it's odd how impactful just being present for someone, and truly present, being able to really understand them, can be more powerful than the words that might come to my mind to try to fix the problem, which is not, what's needed. Peggy, I see you there. You have something to share?
Yeah, I listened to an interview the other day with Anthony Williams, who's a medical medium, and he has spirit that talks to him to help. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, to help figure out what's wrong with people. And one of the things that he said that I thought was pretty amazing was that spirit is the living word, which equals compassion, which equals life force, which equals the glue to love. And I think when we are detoxing, getting rid of, so much of our behavior is reflected on, how our body's responding to what we expose it to, whether it's food or the energy of the world or things of that nature. And I think as we are what I would call detoxing, then we are becoming more pure as to our essence of who we are, which is pure love. So I think then we then are observing the world from that heart center instead of from the head. And I find I'm doing the 30-day, I'm into my 7th day, and I'm pretty chill to begin with, but I find I'm even more, I don't know, just I guess more loving, putting out there. So I see the world from the heart more so now than before.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Peggy. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. All right, we have, I think, time for just a couple more. I'm going to go in order that I've seen. Padmalaya, would you like to share?
Yes, mine is the close cousin of love, which is peace, is what mine is related to. And the concept of what do I want? One of the big things I always come to when I think of the big question of what do I want is that I want peace. And I want that in many ways and many levels in my life. And one area that my life has not had peace for many years has been in my relationship with my parents. And just out of the blue, at the end of last year, I got a letter from my dad. And I have gotten many letters from my parents before, and they were all very frustrating. I had a negative emotional reaction to them for a long time. And I even stopped reading them at all. I didn't even open them. But this one recently, at the end of last year, I decided I would open it. And I think I was in a place where I could be in more of a peaceful place where I didn't look for a complete solution, but I looked for myself to be in a more peaceful place. So that I was, instead of being either open or closed, 100% this way or 100% that way, I was able to find this place in the middle and be more fluid with it, which allowed some openness. I did post about this. Some people might have seen it. It allowed some openness and some improvement in my relationship with my dad, who I had previously not spoken to for years. So through thinking about what do I want and prioritizing that I want peace, it led to this really big change.
Wow, that really is beautiful.
And I should add too that my dad is 95, so it's not like we have forever to have the opportunity for this to have some kind of improvement. But I felt like when I also let it go, I was at peace with it by letting it go prior to this, but somehow that released the energy for something to flow in that peace of letting go.
And that space of peace, that is beautiful. I have read from a lot of different things of how essentially when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and that's kind of what this is once you get into a place, life will bring something to you and say, are you ready for this? Is this something you're ready to really be present with instead of react to? That's a beautiful example.
Right, that seems very relevant. Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful. All right, next, Rajani, are you ready to share?
Hi, so with this 100-day course, the change that I'm seeing is that I'm becoming more of a being, like I'm being in the present. Like I used to have preconceived notions, lot of beliefs, which is gradually going away. And I find myself not judging people, which is a very big thing. With my beliefs, I used to always have a notion that this situation is like this person will be like this. That is gradually going away. And now I find myself just being present in the moment, not, bothering about anything else, not thinking anything else, which is a very big achievement for me, because just to be present in the moment was very difficult. Like today, there was a very good news. My daughter, first time I met her boyfriend and his mother. And, earlier, like in India, we judge, like we think, okay, the boy's parent will be like this. And, you have to see the horoscope and all that. I thought, no, why bother to see a horoscope? Why bother to see the future? Just be present. Let the boy be whatever he is. Let the mother be whatever she is. Earlier, I used to think, okay, the boy's mother, let me judge her, let me see her, what's her thinking, how she'll treat my daughter, all that. But now it doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter. I feel more present and to take the situation in life as it comes. So that is a really big change in me, because I stopped judging people. I stopped thinking anything else, just being present with the person. And that's a very big change for me, because it was not there earlier. And I find myself more present.
That sounds like a very big change for everyone. I mean, I most of all, I know I have had that monkey mind of just wanting to just go everywhere and to do everything and never be still. Kind of like trying to swim up a river. I resisted life instead of just floating with it and enjoying everything as I go. So that's a beautiful example. Thank you, Rajani. All right, one more, especially because I love the hat, Tia Rihanna. Did I say that name right? Please unmute yourself.
Thank you for the hat comment. This is a very short and very absurd story. And it starts like this. I am right now locked into a mental hospital. And it is like I am certainly not mentally ill, but they wanted to put me here and I am forcefully here. But I don't really feel it's like much anything, like I'm here like Aditi Deva Baba, and it's quite okay, and I just try to spread a little bit love around. And I think like 1 year ago or something, I certainly would had not found this peace of mind in this kind of absurd situation. So I think something good has happened.
Wow.
And let's hope things will resolve nicely very soon.
Wow, that's a very powerful testimony. I mean, being put against your will into a situation that you probably don't feel you need to be in, but you're still able to maintain a level of peace and presence with it and acceptance. That's well done. Wow. If everyone liked to, I'd love to send thank you everyone who has shared. Such beautiful. If we can all just put our hands together and give Tia Rihanna and Rajani and Padmalai and Peggy and everyone and Linda, let's give them some good love. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. This might be a deep honor, and I'll just send it back to you, Clint.
Oh, wow. What a deep sharing. This week honors 1 year from the passing of Dr. Naram. On February 19th, 2020, Dr. Naram left his body. And as a result, so many things have happened since, and this Sunday, in preparation for this call, as we're really feeling into it, we're thinking, how can we be of most service? And not only honoring Dr. Naram, but all that he gave us. I've said many times, Dr. Naram didn't leave us, but he left behind so many ancient secrets that continue to bless our lives. And then for those that have had the experiences where Dr. Naram has actually visited you, which is many people on this call, in dreams or in inspirations, intuitions, in your own deeper healing, or as you're with someone else and helping them, then you know that Dr. Naram hasn't actually left us at all. So in a way, it's celebrating, honoring not only Dr. Naram's life, but your life. This last week, I was in tour. We had a clinic here in Utah, in Iowa, Bettendorf, Iowa, at the Infinite Living Center with Rochelle. That was so powerful. Our plane showed up late. In fact, there was this funny story It was on Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day last Sunday, you guys were on this beautiful call with Jayna, with Gary, with Munera, with Dr. Mehta, with Stephen and his friend that was on the call. What a powerful call. Listening to the recording, I was so inspired. One thing that I just loved and want to celebrate about Jayna, but all of you, is that it wasn't dependent on me, the magic or the miracles. I love that. It made me so happy. I was so inspired. It was like it was one of the happiest days of my life, just to watch that call, watch your gathering, watch how the interactions happen, and watch how when you apply the ancient secrets, when you gather in this space, the inevitable outcome is going to be this love and these miracles. The opening of the book, I didn't come to teach you, I came to love you, and love will teach you. Even Dr. Ram, he told me many times, he says, whenever the teacher thinks they're more important than the teaching, then the whole thing falls down. He says the whole thing will fall down. And so Dr. Ram was very clear from the beginning that he was a midwife. He says, I'm like a conveyor belt of bringing these ancient secrets from the ancient world into the modern world. And the truth of it is that wherever love is, that is where your teacher is. And you can go inside of you. And so this day, to honor Dr. Ram, to honor these ancient secrets, I just really wanted to have a space in which, in honoring life and death, the cycle that is, and honoring every breath that we take, the things we take for granted. At the clinic this last week, so many beautiful people came and so many experiences happened that look like miracles, but they're based on this ancient science. In fact, I don't know if he's here right now. It doesn't look like he's on the call, but let's see here. Actually, Nick, I don't know, I kind of putting you on the spot, but it's such a powerful example. Nick, if you can share what you saw, even with John, and then with yourself when we were here in Utah that day, at the end of the clinic.
Yeah, so I was there for the Pulse Clinic last week on Saturday. And at the end of the day, your friend John was there, and he had been waiting all day to see you, and he had the opportunity to have you perform a Marma Shakti on him. And just watching him go from a state of having so much pain, physical pain, and just not being able to like be able to just do normal things, like walk around without pain, to be able to sit on the floor and get back up. To see that change was so dramatic and so heartwarming. And it wasn't even when it first happened, it was like to sit there and wait for 5 minutes and have him like discover new things, like, oh wow, like I said, he could like sit on the floor and then stand up without having to grab something and pull himself up. It was really incredible. And then for me to have the opportunity to have this done again too, was something I just wasn't even expecting. And at this point, I've had this opportunity to have 3 of these marmas with you now. And the first time my leg that hadn't been working started working. The second time I was able to then start running. And this third time, the pain in my leg, which had been persistent, it had been there constantly, like it's almost gone now. And it's just this incredible blessing to be able to have been there, to see the change that it made for John, and then to have this experience myself and to feel that love and healing was really incredible.
May I say something to Nick, Clint?
Yeah, please. And then I have something additional to share.
Nick, after having spent the week with you at the Legendary Retreat, I just want to say there's a lightness in your face that is so beautiful that I can't believe you're the same person. I mean, the unfolding of your essence is coming to the surface of your being, and it's just so extraordinary. It's beautiful to see. And you look different to me. Very, very beautiful. And thank you for continuing on your healing journey. It's inspirational.
Thanks, Gary.
What I want to honor about Nick, and I'm going to have Kyle share a little bit about what he saw too, both for Nick and John. First of all, John saw that Nick could jump again. And when I asked John, what does he want? He says, I want to jump. I want to jump, you know? And so after the process, after the ancient secret process, we actually had a jumping party and everyone was jumping. Even my mom was in her home. So my mom was jumping, the other people were jumping. I think, let's see, who else was here? I'm trying to remember who else was in the home at the time, but there's a couple other people here and we're all jumping around. Also Yosef, who was volunteering that day. Just the joy of jumping, and then the joy of sitting down on the ground and getting up without anything, you know? And when I was doing the rest of the marma for Nick, John, he wasn't able to focus because he's like, wow, I can do so much stuff. He was testing his body, going down the stairs, coming up the stairs, just a new appreciation of every step that he was taking. And I want to honor Nick for something else too. But before that, I want to say, Kyle, can you share? I know you were there, you were videoing the whole thing. What did you see? What was your experience of it?
Yeah, so it was cool from Nick's perspective, because I was watching both of them, especially when John was receiving the Marma Shakti, which John was just absolutely ready for this. He was just like ready all day for the ceremony. And as soon as it started, you know, he had so much emotion come up to acknowledge and move, which was super beautiful. And then I was watching Nick on the couch, like front row seat, watching the process with John. And I could see how it was like a, you know, a reflection reality for Nick, where he was like pretty much watching himself of what he went through the first time when everyone was watching him. And he was like just excited as John and everyone else of like, oh my God, this is amazing. I could see the excitement for John, and also, you know, just of like recognizing like, oh, that's what I looked like, you know, when I was up there doing it, because they both had, you know, similar stories. And then what was funny with John, like you just mentioned, where as soon as you started Marma Shakti with Nick, John was just like squeezing his hands. It felt like he was just reborn in a new body. And he was like, what is this body? Like, I can move and I can do this. He was walking around, looking at his feet when he's walking, like he's walking as a baby for the first time, going up and down the stairs, just like joyfully confused, as like no idea what's happening in his body, but he feels so much better instantly. and then you know, and then we had a jumping party, you know, and you know, the little things that we, you know, potentially take for granted, of like walking without pain and jumping. Especially for me, I'm, you know, a young fit man, so I don't recognize those things. So even watching it for myself, of seeing like, you know, John was like, I want to jump, like I have a dream and it's to jump. And then he like, it was a whole movie film, like in slow-mo. He's like, here we go. And we see him and we like backing up. And then he goes and he jumps and the whole house shakes and we just like jump for joy. And then everyone's jumping and we have a jump party. It was just amazing.
It's so amazing. I want to go into another point, but before that, I want to take us to Sacramento as well. I don't know if Reem, if you can join. Reem, I just put you on a spotlight as well. And then also Arshia, I'm going to spotlight you as well. Can you just share what happened in that magical space? You know, we weren't jumping, but we did something else. And it was really, can you describe what happened for yourself, for those that you saw? So Reem, first of all, what did you experience?
Well, just meeting you was amazing. The first time I met you was a surprise in Utah, and I didn't really get to actually talk to you, but then having the appointment with you and getting to actually be in your presence, your heart is just so beautiful, Clint, and just being around you was incredible. And then getting to get another hug from Kyle, that was amazing. And Arshia and I had a really good conversation while we were there. We talked about mung bean and just got really close. But we did some, not just the pulse reading, but Clint also graced us with some Marma as well. And we had some incredible women there that were so flexible and they were touching their toes, and I was so impressed. And Arshia's mom was one of these incredible ladies that we were able to meet.
Yeah, Arshia, can you unmute yourself? I just want you to share what happened for your mom in the space. And Ronnie, I just spotlighted her. She was hosting the whole clinic in Sacramento and witnessed the whole thing too.
Wow, Dr. Clint, as beautiful Reem said, the day was magical. Dr. Clint, thank you. It was a dream come true. To see you, you touched us each individually. So much attention. Make sure we are well take care and nourished, and everything was just amazing. The hugs. Oh my goodness, when you said, okay, now you group hug, I mean, then you had to say, okay, stop, we have things to do. I mean, we were literally could walk to the left, to the right together. It was profound. Reem, thank you. Heart to heart, dear. I was gonna text you, thank you. It was just, I don't know, it was amazing. For my mom, it's magical. She said it was a magical day. Dr. Clint, after Marma Shakti, we were all trying to live, still hugging and trying to run, The Uber was there, the car was waiting, and we didn't want to go. And my mom, after hugging Kyle for about 10 minutes, and all of us hugging and trying to pull the bags and go. And my mom came to me after all and said, thank you. You are my angel. The same thing that he told you. That was a breakthrough, Dr. Clint. I just wanted to share that. Thank you. Many, many, many years. Not that it was necessary. No, she could connect. There was no expectation. There was pure love. So it was beautiful. Thank you. Thank to everybody that day, everyone. Danny, to making it possible. She was hosting, I'm trying to remember her name now.
Ronnie, or the one who owned
Ronnie and
Jerry.
Jerry, yeah. Thank you. All of you. And Carol, beautiful Carol. I didn't have anything except an email, an address, and a time to be there. I said, yeah. Carol, I'm going to meet Dr. Clint. We're going to have a pulse reading. What should I expect? She made it to another dimension. With no ego, she shared everything. That is Dr. Clint's mom's birthday. That love, that sharing, knowing the knowledge of that made it to another dimension. I'm so grateful to her for all the information, and so grateful to seeing you, hugging you, and thank you for the breakthrough for all of us, Dr. Clint.
Oh, so beautiful. I want to say that Arshia's mom started by coming with the cane, was putting her full weight on this cane that had the 4 things at the bottom, and then by the end of the night, she was not only touched her knuckles to the floor, but then she was dancing with all of us, and with tears in her eyes, she was talking about the miracle. Now, I didn't know this about Reem, and then she had knitted some beautiful head thing that was for my mom's birthday, also for me. And then Reem, I didn't know this, but Reem, can I share about your previous occupation?
Sure.
Reem was in the circus. She was an acrobat and a contortionist. And she was showing us what she's like, I can only go this far. And this far was crazy amazing. She's like, I used to be able to do more. And so even just by seeing the different things happening and what our bodies can do, what our minds can do, what our souls can do. And Ronnie, man, just honoring her, 73 years young, with so much passion, brought the people there with so much love, and herself going on this journey of deeper healing. Now, in the context, I want to bring it back to this. Someone posted on Facebook last week that one of their favorite things about the last Sunday call was that the Marmas are exciting. They're really exciting. But if you're in a long-term healing process, sometimes it can get a little depressing. That there's not Dr. Naram there, or Dr. Clint, or someone who can do that thing, because the real healing happens deep inside of you. And so I want to come back to Nick in a moment, but I want to honor Ronnie, Ronnie, she actually didn't get Marma that night, but she walked away glowing because of the choices she had made day-to-day basis for a long time. Ronnie, we celebrate with you what you did and what the progress was you saw, and then we'll slowly come back to Nick as well.
Do you know, like I said the last time, I could write a book about this, but what's coming to mind right this minute, and it's so vivid, and I don't know whether this story is a worldwide story or not, but what I can just visualize in everybody's hearts and minds, Tinkerbell with the magic wand going around, tapping everybody, and it stays with you, that glow and that love, and to be able to share that and let everybody, and then bring more people in and let them feel what we're feeling now. But just keeps getting deeper, and it gets bigger, and it's like you can't wake up fast enough to do all the things to tell the next person. I had the wonderful conversation with Vimala and her daughter yesterday. Oh my gosh, both of them were talking so fast I could hardly hear what they were saying, and I could go on and on, but it's magic. It's magic.
It was magic.
Yeah. So Ronnie she's honoring Dr. Naram every day in the way she lives with passion, with enthusiasm. On the call on February 19th, Krishna says that, actually on the call yesterday, Krishna said his dad, Dr. Naram, he would always say, live with the diarrhea of enthusiasm. That's the kind of, you want to have a solid stool when you use the restroom, but with enthusiasm, you can have a diarrhea. So I don't know, Ronnie, I hope it feels respectful for me to say that you're this kind of a person. You have this enthusiasm, this contagious enthusiasm. And she honored Dr. Naram by following the principles in the book. Kyle made a great point yesterday as we were on the phone. He's like, people may not ever come for pulse consultation. They may not ever come to a clinic. They may not participate in the 100-day course, but even just from the book, just from the recipes in it, they can change their life because it just points them back to themselves. And Ronnie, day after day, has chosen Hmong soup diet for the last, who knows how many days. She's lost weight. She already had a lot of energy, but somehow has more, And as we're looking around the room, I had to acknowledge, in honor of Judy Lamar, I said, there's no LOLs here. There's no little old ladies in this room. And then when we broke into the dance party, I was like, this is awesome. We're all just jamming out and just savoring the gift of life, And I felt like, wow, Dr. Ram in this moment must be so proud, so pleased. Then also, Reem surprised me at the end of the day by bringing 2 huge boxes of blankets that I have actually right here. I don't know if you can see them, but I brought them back with me. For my mom's birthday, other people donated blankets. You can see them over in the corner here. Today, with Nick, with John, who we just talked about, Jumping John, I'll call him right now, with John, with many other people who are here, we're gonna go and deliver these blankets to the homeless in honor of Dr. Naram. And Reem, the fact that you remembered to do that and you brought them at the end of the clinic really touched my heart. I just thought, this is beautiful. Also, Arshia's mom made these head warmers, and we're giving some of those to the homeless. So in honoring of Dr. Naram, in honoring of life, there's so many things that are precious. I want to come back. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much for sharing. That was so powerful, so beautiful. Thank you, Arshia. Thank you for bringing your mother, who just, in the recognition, she says, this is a miracle. Oh, Sonia, so good to hear you. Okay, we just muted you for now. Reem, amazing. You inspire me. I can't wait to see you. I want to say this. When I asked Reem, what do you want? Remember, Reem, what you said you wanted? Can you just share this with everyone? Because it's such a powerful desire. I says, what do you want? And she said this.
Well, I actually have something even bigger to tell you that I didn't tell you there because I was really scared and I thought that I was going to back out. But I have a radio show that is basically based on what I told you, Clint, was the world that I'm looking for, is the world that is, there's no money and everything is resource based. And because we are giving and receiving, that we are able to live this coherent life together. And this radio show is really happening today at 2:00 Pacific time. And the show is going to be about challenging the status quo and shifting paradigms so we can get to this beautiful world where We are working because we love to work and because we want to make the world a better place, because if we make it better for somebody else, we're also making it better for ourselves. So
so powerful. It's manifesting. You know, when you get clear, Dr. Am, he says, don't focus on what you don't want, but focus on what you do want. And when I asked Reem, what do you want? She says, I want a world. She had her eyes closed. She saw the vision. She said, I want a world in which there's harmony, in which the currency is love, you know? And I was like, that's awesome. I says, what, and when that happens, what will you do? She says, I'd be a contortionist. That's so cool. Out of joy, just experiencing her body in these ways and bringing joy to others. So beautiful. What do you want? What do you want to experience today? Thank you, Reem. And anyone, maybe you can put in the chat how they can join that show or how they can listen to that radio show. Maybe we can have it in some way. Kyle, anything you want to share again about this powerful miracle week before I come back to Nick about a really important concept that will launch us into today?
I think we covered a lot of this. I mean, what just continues to come to mind is like the strong like grandmother energy that was present along the entire trip of, you know, the learnings and love, you know, from that spirit being surrounded by, which really touched my heart in a lot of, you know, because every clinic I had conversations with everyone and they were all such magical conversations. To be able to be present with these, you know, beautiful elder priestesses and goddesses that hold such wisdom and magic.
Yeah, also talking about taking things for granted. I don't know if you can see in this picture, but this was a magical experience that happened for many people. It was when you got a hug from Kyle. We take for granted things like this. But Kyle, when he would hug people, it wasn't like a quick hug and then it gone. Like he would pause and he'd fully be present in that hug, in that moment. You know, Dr. Am says, whatever you do, you give 100%. Kyle definitely was given 100% in those hugs, and magical things happened. Things started to melt away in people. The barriers between us, the illusions between us started to melt away. And so thank you, Kyle, for joining. Thank you for capturing so much of it and for being with us on the whole powerful experience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clint. It's an honor.
Yeah. Just coming back to Nick, I just want to say, Nick, you're a great example about how the change isn't instantaneous. You know, it takes a lot of work. You have to keep choosing love. The layers of healing come up. After one miracle, then sometimes something else hits you. Dr. Am says, whatever is your obstacle, your challenge has within it the seeds of great, equal or greater benefit. And I just want you to speak to that for anyone that's thinking, oh, but I don't have what Nick has. You know, I didn't get this blessing of having this Marma Shakti experience. I just want you to speak to the process and what you've gone through and what's happening, just to really honor the deeper healing. Sometimes it takes time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm the thing is, when I first met you and I had that first experience with the Marma Shakti, and I mean, I was in such a tough place in life. My life had really hit zero. I physically wasn't able to do things. I mentally, emotionally wasn't able to do things. And it was so incredible to say, look at this guy, his leg didn't work all the way. And he's in constant pain. He can't even think because he's in so much pain. And all of a sudden, just like that, his leg starts working again. And modern medicine couldn't figure out what was going on, you know. But for me, that was just the start of this process. And it wasn't that all of a sudden I'm ready to just go conquer the world, and I mentally and emotionally and I'm in a place where I can just keep going. That happened, and it allowed me to see that I do have deeper healing that needs to happen. And you know, from earlier traumas or whatever it is, I have deeper healing that needs to happen. And it's been a real struggle along the way. It's been a lot of up and downs, but it's been a process, and there's been a lot of times where I've really thought I want to just give up, and I don't want to just keep trying, because I can't see, I still have trouble seeing like a really positive future. And I just have to hope that there's something there, and that if I keep doing the things that I've, you know, been on this path, that that I'll get to that point. So the Marma Shakti was great, but it and it unlocked things so that I could start this healing path, this healing journey. But I also realized that the healing has to be done by me. Like, you can't go to some external source and just say, hey, I need you to just fix my life for me. You know, there's some circumstances that, sure, someone from outside source can fix something. But when you have deeper healing that needs to happen, you know, you have to do the work. And sometimes you don't know what that is to start with, and sometimes you don't know what to do. But for me, it's been a journey, and I've had people along the way that have sort of stepped in to help guide me on this path a little bit. But I'm just so grateful, Dr. Clint, for you to be part of that journey for me, and to jump in there and help me out from the beginning, and to continue to be supporting me and helping me out.
Well, I'm so grateful you speak that. You're getting so much love. I mean, if you just read through the chat, it's just so beautiful. Mary says, yes, Nick, such an important distinction. So powerful. I love you. I'm with you. Victoria says, capital. Yes, 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 Nick, bravo. Just so many people are saying, I appreciate an acknowledgement. John Amadio says, I appreciate the acknowledgement that healing can take time. I'm at the very beginning of this. And so for John and anyone that's at the very beginning of this, thank you for being here. And I want to acknowledge every step of the path. Denise says, keep going, Nick. We love you. We're with you. Esther says, thank you, Nick and Clint. This continuing healing is true for so many. With love and gratitude for the message. Janet says, thank you, Nick. So vulnerable. You are the process. And why I think it's so important that Nick shared this and for us to acknowledge this at the beginning is because life is full of stuff. You know, life gets so full of stuff. And it's not like there's a endpoint that we're looking for either. There kind of is, because we say, what do you want? But a big part of what Dr. taught was about the magic of gratitude and acknowledging all the unexpected guests that come in the process. So it's not that we're waiting until sometime in the future to fully live now, this moment. No, now is the moment we want to celebrate. This moment, everything that's in it, everything that seems perfect and imperfect, that seems whatever, just this preciousness of this gift of this moment. And I want to acknowledge also, in light of this and Dr. Ram's passing, we're going to go soon into a musical number from Gary Malkin. I'm going to talk about why it's significant. But I had about 3 or 4 weeks ago, a beautiful man from South Africa contact me by the name of Wickus. And, you know, we've done so many calls about love. Last week, Valentine's Day, the week before, honoring my mom's birthday that was on the 19th and Dr. Ram's passing. One of the big stories of love over this last year for me was the love of me and this dog, Milo, Miracle Milo. And most of you know his story, but this beautiful dog that mystically showed up in my life the day that the day of Dr. Ram's memorial service, in such a mystical way, showed up and then stayed with me all through the whole COVID situation when I was locked down in India for 7-8 months. I would have been alone otherwise, but here I had this beautiful dog with me, you know. And even when New Year's came this year, I was thinking, who do I want to send thank you to, you know, in my heart? And I was sending thank you to so many people, and I was sending thank you to this dog. You know, I never knew that you could find so much love for a dog. You know, one of my friends says if you spell dog backwards, it's God. And there's that kind of a love energy between a human and a dog. Now, Wickus called me and he talked to me about how his dog was on the last stage of life. Didn't know if his dog was going to survive. Mika, this beautiful dog. And I gave him certain home remedies to do. My friend Poonam also did a beautiful Reiki session and lots of things. I gave him herbs that he could order. And Mika perked back up. And it's like she came alive again. wagging her tail, wanting to swim, so many things. And he had 3 weeks with this beautiful dog. And then just a couple days ago, I got the message that Mika had left the body as well, you know. And I was just imagining Wikus and Mika, you know, and in that space of just honoring life and honoring the passing of our soul from this body into whatever is the next experience. I was thinking about Dr. Naram too on my meditation on the 19th. I just spent a good portion of time just to be with myself and the emotions. And I thought about love. And I thought about in that kind of a love, that kind of a pure love, we don't lose anything. We only gain, you know. I thought about Wikus, what he gained from Mika, you know, this love, this powerful, pure form of love, and what message that is for me. And in my meditation, as I was sitting there and I was thinking of so many of you in the 100-day course that joined these calls, that have been part of the Miracle Experiment game, that have come to the clinics, that I met through Dr. Naram, his family, his friends, his patients, his clients, I came to this realization, you know, that the whole purpose of this whole thing that we're experiencing is to recognize that you are worthy of the purest form of love. That's it, you know, and any kind of pain or disease or anything that's an obstacle to that is just wanting us to remember this, you know, that you're worthy of this purest form of love. And so in honoring Mika and honoring Wikus, honoring Dr. Naram, honoring you, anyone that you loved who has passed, and honoring Tariana, so beautiful, you know, being where you are right now and honoring the unexpected guest as if God himself or herself has come. Listen deeply as Gary Malkin is sharing this piece with you. Gary created something called Graceful Passages, which is it's this year on its 20th anniversary. It's sold over 500,000 copies, and people listen to this music usually when they're on their deathbed or when they're with a loved one who's on their deathbed. Most of us in human world don't have a really good context for how to honor the transition between this life and the next. And what Gary created as, I'd say, a type of a shaman, by putting in this music and spoken words, helps you soften into whatever transition you're facing. And the piece he's playing is so relevant because it has to do with how do you love and how do you love yourself? And so Gary, handing it over to you. And then after Gary, Jayna will be taking the rest of the call. I love you and I'm with you, and so much honoring you, Dr. Naram. Thank you for the gift of your life. Thank you for the gift of everyone showing up. Last thing I'll say is this week, the book has been translated. It's published in Italian. So for Ilaria, for Marzia, Dr. Giovanni, all those that helped, so exciting that you honored Dr. Naram by spreading the secrets in this way. Also soon it's going to be published in Portuguese. So many people are working on it in so many languages. I just got the text this morning saying it's ready in Hindi and Gujarati. I know that Cornelia is completing it in the proofreading in German. As these secrets spread, I just feel like the love spreads. But now in this moment, how deep can you feel that love in your own heart? Gary?
Yes. Oh my goodness. What an amazing call. I just have a couple of things to say. That this morning, as I've been a co-host, I've been opening and pressing the admit buttons for people that are coming in over time. And I noticed that I was like a little kid on Christmas morning. Oh boy, another person come in. And then like every time I press admit, it's sort of like letting another beloved come into this space that we all co-creating. It's been so much fun. So thank you, Clint. A beautiful introduction to this track. Now I want to just point yourself to this. The purpose of this is, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to share the screen. Here we go. I'm going to give you the link to this, but right here, this wonderful quote: what if grief is a skill in the same way that love is a skill, something that must be learned and cultivated and taught? What if grief is the natural order of things, a way of loving life anyway? This is on the page of Graceful Passages. What this track is about is what many people could say anticipatory grief, for really getting that life is so extraordinary that we get to allow ourselves to be loved and to love everyone that's ever been here, but especially right now ourselves. allowing ourselves to let ourselves be loved. And when we allow that love in, we are filled with such a great fullness that it becomes a natural gratefulness that bestows love upon everyone we meet. So please, in a culture that we all are so good about giving, and giving being such an important thing, this is a time to be deeply concerned with not thinking you're being selfish by loving yourself at this level. And I just want to invite you to go deep inside yourself, close your eyes, unless there's spotlighting. I don't think we're going to be spotlighting on this one, because this is really an internal process of deepening your capacity to receive love for yourself. And honestly, it's a beautiful way to honor Dr. Naram, because when you get to love more, you get to know what you want more. And may this be a blessing for you. Here we go. I'm going to play it. It's called Letting Yourself Be Loved, the first track. And bear with me a minute. I'm going to find it. And MP3, where are you? Grace of Passages. Here we go. All right. So allow this spacious music to drop you in to the deep, imaginable, beautiful place that is your heart. Breathe deep. Be here now.
No one has ever prepared us for this experience. We think it's the end. No. It's another beginning. Another beginning. It's knowing that you're loved. Knowing that you're loved. It's not easy letting yourself be loved. Of course, we've learned to judge ourselves. And we're always judging ourselves. But I learned to listen, that I was loved. I was loved. And then I would forget that I was loved. Those were the most painful times for me. Forgetting that I was loved. So you've let yourself be loved while you've been here. And you've judged yourself. And you've forgotten that you were loved. And you became alone. But you will always be here. You are blessed. You are forgiven. You have to listen that you're loved. And you have to forgive all the time. Listen that you're loved. And forgive all the time. You are love. Farewell, my son. Farewell, my daughter. Farewell, my father. Farewell, my mother. Farewell, my sister. Farewell, my brother. Thank you for letting me love you. Thank you for letting yourself be loved. God bless you.
Thank you for letting me love you. Thank you for letting yourself be loved. You will always be here. These are my favorite lines. And I will put in the chat the link to Graceful Passages as a tool to awaken to the radical gratitude for preciousness of life. Thanks, Clint, for sharing this work. And remember that if you know anyone who has died of COVID or any families, this resource has proven over 20 years to really help people connect with the continuity of life, the circle of life, because every birth is a death and every death is a birth. And let's start remembering that this is a cycle that we're all grateful participants in. I love you, Clint, and I love you all. Thank you.
Gary, thank you so much. Your music is just incredible. I was doing really well, not crying up until I got that music. One day I'll be able to go through a whole meeting without tears. How many of you, just by the physical hand, you don't have to raise it on your screen, but how many of you feel like these meetings are only for you? They're just like that exquisite point that just hits and touches directly just for you. I got to do the gallery view. I can't see all of you guys yet. Yes, look at these hands. You know, today I just feel like this is just for me. This energy that is created not only by the lineage and by Dr. Clint, by Gary, but by each one of you. You know, it's beautiful to see that each one of us are so deeply affected and touched by these calls. You know, Nick's story really, really hit me because my healing was a little bit different. About 3 years ago, the trauma that I had been stuffing down for years and years just unleashed. It was like a freight train. It was not going away. And when it came out, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to proceed with life. And life just seemed to be crumbling around me. I was able to find some stability. And a year ago, I had the divine guidance to join this group, this amazing group. And all I was just doing was showing up and doing data entry. And when I'd come to these Sunday calls, something would just shake out of me. You know, maybe it was like a marmot, I don't know, but something would shake out of me. And sometimes I would get off the call and cry for 2 hours, just knowing that healing was happening, not knowing what was happening, but it was happening. And of course, I had wonderful friends and people in the community that helped me through, you know, this growth. You know, it was a step-by-step growth, not knowing what the next step was and knowing that I just wanted to heal. And I just kept doing the Marma points, and I kept doing, you know, all the things that we are taught about in this wonderful book. And just about, I don't even remember the day, 6 weeks ago, maybe, I had this profound sense of peace just wash over me. And I've been so lucky that it hasn't really gone. It has stayed with me. Now, the interesting thing is, as I've re-engaged in life and seeing the new changes that are about to embark in my life, how anxiety from the past just kind of creeps up. And those are the old messages in my mind, you know. And I'm with you, Nick, on learning a new path, learning a new way of being able to establish who we divinely are, who we truly are, and live that life instead of that habitual, you know, the person that we created. Anyway, thank you for letting me go on that tangent. I wasn't expecting that at all. This week has been such an incredible week. I've had so many incredible connections with you. Jonathan asked at the beginning of the call.
Just real quick, I just want to honor you. You're getting so much love from people in the chat. And yeah, I want to say Jayna, when she first started, she just says, I want to be of service, you know, and I says, okay, I really need someone to do data entry. Now, data entry is not a job a lot of people would be excited about, but she gave her 100% towards it. In fact, other people on this call also supported in such a beautiful way. And I was so moved and so inspired by that, and inspired by how she showed up. And so as I hear you, Jayna, talking about the healing that goes deeper and deeper, more and more things coming up and being seen, being felt fully, and then being released is so, so beautiful. I just want to say, I love you, Jayna. I'm with you. And I'm just echoing what's being said all over the world, all over this planet about your heart. I want to thank you. And then I just want to say also, because he came on real quick, since we're honoring the gift of life, also we have right on this call with us someone whose birthday is today. And he doesn't know we're going to do this, but it's Dr. Stephen. Yay!
Happy birthday.
It looks like he's joining us from some ski hill somewhere. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, Stephen, but I just want to acknowledge.
Thank you. It's a great day today. I had fresh ski slopes at 7:30 in the morning. Great present.
Yeah. So on his birthday, honoring not only Dr. but honoring the gift of life, honoring that he can ski. So we want to just in one moment send you lots of love. So everyone from all over the world can clap your hands together. We want to send Dr. Stephen so much love. Wow. Amazing. So powerful. Stephen is someone who, when he first shows up to meet Dr. for the first time, Dr. felt his pulse and says, oh, work for me, go sit over there. And then immediately started sending patients to see him. And he hasn't stopped since then. He continues to show up with love, with presence, with intelligence, with humility, with enthusiasm. And I love you, Stephen. I'm so glad that you're on this planet, to consider you a friend, a colleague, a co-pilgrim in this journey of ancient secrets and spreading it through the world. Love you so much.
And you'll come visit soon.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll come visit. We'll do a clinic there together.
Bless you all.
Sorry, but Jayna, I just wanted to say that just because I saw Stephen come on.
No, I'm so glad you did, because I saw that he went off and I was like, dang it, we didn't get to wish him happy birthday. So I'm so glad he came back on.
Yeah, and I know we don't always get to celebrate everyone's birthday. If anyone else, it's your birthday today, just go ahead and put it in the chat. But I just want to honor life, you know, and whether we've missed your birthday or not, I just want to say we're so grateful you're here. So grateful that you show up with love and with the willingness to look at what's real, whether it's pleasant or not, and just join for the journey and then enjoy the process, the unfolding, and this precious moment, which Jayna just so beautifully exemplifies. So Jayna, back to you.
Thank you. If you guys hear dog snoring in the background, it is real. It's my dog snoring. Anyway, John asked a question at the very beginning, and he asked, what has this 100 days done for you? And I was so inspired by Esther this week because she's got some very fun stories. Esther, are you on the call? Esther, I know you're.
I'm here.
Esther, I cannot wait for these people to hear your story this week.
Well, it was a fun week. I actually got out of town and went to visit some friends that have a ranch. And whenever I'm with animals, I'm in my happy place anyway. And the day started with us being part of a farmer's market. And one of the vendors' sons, who has autism, was there. And he went into a major meltdown. And it was drastic. And he just was like, he's about 13 and at his mom, like, we have to leave, I need to leave, I can't stand this, we have to go. And she's like, we can't leave, I'm a vendor, the farmer's market isn't over for a couple more hours. And he had been complaining about pain, and I had given him some aspirin earlier in the morning. And I saw him walking up and down a hill. And so I recognized that it really wasn't about pain, because he was kind of jumping around. And anyway, I took him aside with his mom and I said, can I try something with you? And he said, okay. And he had tears in his eyes and he was just shaking. And I did the marma with him. And I had him do it on himself. And the first time he said, well, I feel a little different. And I said, let's try it one more time. And I had him take a breath in each time he pressed, and every time let go, every time he exhaled. We did it 6 times. A sense of calm came over him. He looked at me and he said, I feel better. Thank you. And then he lit up and he just started talking to us and was like, that was amazing. And I said, well, you can do this anytime, Wolf, and it will help you. And I recognized that it gave him a sense of control. It also gave him a way to break that thought pattern that was raging through his head. So, and his mom was really grateful, and she gave me a gift from her shop that she had at this farmer's market. So I left feeling like, wow, okay, I have this ability that I didn't even recognize that I could share. I shared it with other people, but not in such a powerful way.
I just think
we went back to the ranch, and this is my favorite one. And there are goats and sheep, and one of the sheep, who's pregnant, had been standing in one position for 2 days, hadn't laid down, hadn't eaten, hadn't had any water. My friend was afraid. He said, I had another sheep like this. She had bloat and she died within like 8 hours. And I said, bloat? Wait, I just heard Dr. Naram's remedy for bloat. I said, I don't know if I can do it on a sheep or not, but I'm gonna try. So I went into the house and I listened again to Dr. Naram's audio to get the recipe. And I said to my friend, do you mind if I do this on the goat? He said, whatever, or the sheep. And I said, okay. So I thought, well, sheep don't have belly buttons, so I don't know where I'm going to put it. And they're clearly bigger than we are, so I need more. So I just used the ingredients, and I kicked myself for not having my emergency kit with me, because the one ingredient we didn't have was hing. And I said, well, I'm going to do it with everything else. So I made an onion juice, ginger, and cumin mixture. And I made about a cup worth of like parts that were equal, but more. And I went outside with this bowl of like, it was pancake batter-ish. And I took my hand and I'd scoop up a handful and I'd rub the belly of the sheep. And I did that till the mixture was gone, and I massaged her for about 10 minutes. And she lifted her head and looked around, and Doug said, wow, that's more than we've had in 2 days. And 5 minutes later, she went down on her knees and laid down, put her head down and went to sleep. And I said, wow, I think she's more comfortable. I think this did something. And Doug, being the skeptic, said, well, she's either going to sleep or she's going to die. And I was like, okay, well, I did my best. And went out the next morning, like at 6 a.m. I had trouble sleeping all night, worrying about where she was going to be in this process. She had moved and was laying next to where her water trough was. So we assumed that she had had water during the night. And within an hour, she was up and walking and out in the corral. And I said, I think the remedy worked on her. And Doug said, well, based on the timing, I can't say it didn't. So that for him was a huge success. And I checked on her status. She's out and roaming and doing great. She hasn't had her babies yet, but I've insisted that when she does, one gets named after me. So anyway, I felt such a joy and love and gratefulness, and came home and it's like, I am making my emergency kit and carrying it with me. And I feel like I'm supposed to be helping animals as much as people. So thank you. It was miraculous. And Gary, I want to tell you that that piece of music, I used to volunteer in a program at our local hospital called No One Dies Alone. And I would be called to go to patients' rooms who were in the process of transitioning when they had no family. And I would sit with them. And because of COVID, no volunteers have been able to be at the hospital. So I sent your piece of music to the head of volunteer services to pass out to other nurses and staff at the hospital who were continuing that process. And I've been told that they do play it for patients, whether they're conscious or not, as they are transitioning.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Esther, that is so touching, because Clint and I and a number of other really close allies are looking at how we could get corporate sponsorship at a very massive level to actually deliver these tracks easily to the family members who have lost COVID patients. People die of COVID. And so that story, please send me some information about who that hospital is. And if anybody wants to join our effort to get this work out, that is a beautiful, there's a need, a global grieving crisis right now. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
you made my day.
I sent the It's a Good Day piece to also to the hospital for the nurses to play during their breaks when they're having really tough days, and just that 5 minutes of them being able to listen to that has been magical. So I truly appreciate it, Gary. I love you so much.
Do send me an email and we can talk a little further about this. Gary at Wisdom of the World.
Okay, we'll do it, Gary.
Thank you for saying that. You made my day.
Thank you.
Gary, you make all of our days when we hear your music. It's amazing, so amazing. Clint, I have to have your comments on this. You have to speak about Esther.
It's so fun. I didn't expect this day to be so much about animals, but even Ken Soliner sent this picture just on Facebook the other day. He had given the book to one of his dear friends, and his dear friend's dog just fell asleep with the paw right on the book. And he said, there's so much in this picture about how these ancient secrets, it not only transcends, it's beyond religion, it's beyond culture, it's beyond nationality, it's also beyond human race. It also, Dr. Ram, even there's a quote in the book saying it also helps animals, plants, anything that's alive. And so what Esther, I love what you did, is you says, I'm gonna do an experiment. You know, those who are participating in the 100-day course, you know that we have this great thing we just received even yesterday, today, which is the emergency kit pamphlet booklet that describes what are all of these different spices and what are they good for, you know, things that are in your own kitchen, things that are in most people's kitchen. And then what kind of things can they help with? Like black pepper, you know, it can help with asthma, cough, throat infection. How many people have black pepper in their home? You know, raise your hand if you have black pepper in your home. But how many of you have used it in a remedy when someone needed help with the digestive situation or with stress, anxiety, with urinary disorders, with vomiting, obesity, detoxifying the body? You know, there's so many things that these things in your own kitchen are powerful for. And Dr. Ram, he says, everything's a medicine or poison depending how you use it. I'm so proud of you, Esther. It makes me so happy. You did it. You're applying it. And I also want to say, I also want to acknowledge your statement about you wish you had the emergency kit with you. Dr. I'm trained in my brain. Wherever I go, I have my emergency kit. And I can't tell you how many magic moments have happened on airplanes, in hotels, in lobbies of stores when people needed help and I could help them because I had my ancient healing emergency kit. Whenever we talk about specific things like this, I always give a medical disclaimer. If you have an emergency situation, please contact 911, contact your doctor. In the meantime, what if you can help while you're waiting for the ambulance to arrive? Or what about like in Texas, all the power goes out, all the ambulances are taken, all the hospital spaces are taken, you know, and you need help. Then why not empower yourself like Esther did? Learning this, remembering it and applying it. This is a DT Devo Bawa in practice. Esther, there's no accident that you saw about that and then you saw a case. For everyone who's participating in the 100-day course, pay very close attention, because when something comes up, like even Nick, I mean, even let's say Kyle got a little bit sick and then he got excited because he's like, wait a minute, I can apply the ancient secrets and find out what happens, you know? And then he started being more careful with eating mung soup and then letting go of certain emotions. It's like, there's no accident why things come in your life. And you stood up, and I'm sure that's Dr. Ram is so happy. It was there with you. It's so pleased. What a great way to honor Dr. Ram, honor all of life. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. So great. This day is about celebrating the preciousness of life, you know, and I love that Esther saw how precious life was and was able to do what she did for not only the little boy, but also for the sheep. It was just awesome. I have been very touched this week by many things. You know, Dr. Naram's memorial that Dr. Smita did was absolutely beautiful, you know, and the question that Krishna asked Dr. Clint was pretty amazing. It was, I always forget it. I had to write it down. In this last year, how has your life transitioned? I mean, that is such a powerful statement. And I guess that question was the reason why I shared my own personal story. But in this last year, how has your life transitioned? You know, in a year ago, I didn't know any of you. Seriously, I did not know one of you. And I'm so grateful that I get to meet you and get to talk with you and interact with you. I'm so appreciative of Denny and Jill and the conversation that we got to have on the call this week. It was a very healing moment for me, as well as I think for many people. I've received a lot of private messages that it was, you know, very healing for them. And I'm so appreciative of that. In Sue Yogi's book, I don't know if you guys have seen Sue Yogi's book. It's a journal. It's called the Heart Journal. And
it's got some beautiful stories in here. And the one story that stood out in my mind regarding the preciousness of life was this darling little girl wrapped a beautiful package for her father and put it under the Christmas tree. And the father was very angry at the child because money was tight. And he said, you know, what did you do wasting all of that money on the wrapping for that gift? And the child, you know, presented the gift to her father on Christmas Day anyway. And the father was touched. And then as he unwrapped it, he became enraged again. And the reason why is because there was nothing in the box. And he's like, don't you know that when you give a Christmas gift, that there's supposed to be something in the box? And the little girl with tears in her eyes said, oh, Daddy, that gift was full of my kisses. I blew kisses into the box. All of those kisses were for you. And he wrapped her in his arms and said, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Well, years later, that little girl passed away. And for years, that box sat on the nightstand of the father. And whenever he got lonely, he would open up the box and accept one of those kisses that she blew into that box just for her, just for him. I just thought it was a beautiful story, and it's a beautiful journal. She's a beautiful lady, and we're so grateful to have her as one of the house mentors on the 100-day training. Thank you so much for letting me share. Clint, I believe we have some music.
Yeah, so beautiful. Also, we have this special sharing from Dr. Ken Wolkoff. This is really beautiful. He just sent this to me as email. He said it'd be perfect for this call. Be the person your dog thinks you are. It's so beautiful. Gary, we want to turn it back over to you. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for being alive, for being present, for being full of love. You can be young at any age. And part of being young at any age is really being, you know, flexible in being whatever comes, treating the unexpected guest as if God himself or herself has come. There's so much we can do, and there's so much that you are. And most important, you are worthy of the purest form of love. You know, any pain, any dis-ease, anything is probably just a part of you. Even Claire, Denny's daughter. Actually, Denny, I know we're gonna jump into the music, but real quick, Jill and Denny, what to do? I gotta have your voices on here because it's been
Hi
such.
there. Hello. Hi, darling man.
What touched your heart most? And everyone put in the chat.
Oh, wait a minute, Clint. I've never met Denny. I've known Claire since the year 2003, and this is the first time I'm seeing Claire's mother. Which one is it now?
On the right is.
Oh my God, I love you. Thank you. And I love your daughter, Claire. I've loved her for 20 years. So
beautiful,
thank you for giving birth to your beautiful daughter.
It was a great honor, great honor.
Clint,
but
Clint, Claire introduced us to your graceful passage.
Yeah.
And I actually use the unspoken version when I'm working with my clients, and Denny, if I'm giving her a treatment, insists on your music.
Oh, Denny, it's so good to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you too. I know so much about you, and I love your music. I just love, as I say, reflexology. I do not have it unless I have your music.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
It is beautiful. No, thank you.
I want to say that Denny and Jill just gave us such a treat last Friday. Jen was in charge of this whole experience, but Denny shared her life story about how even when she was in an orphanage, you know, she was in a room with two other beautiful girls, and that sometimes steps would come down the hall and they'd take one of them, you know, and you know, things happened that shouldn't happen on this planet. And they didn't know if they were going to be chosen, but even if they weren't the one chosen that night, they knew what was happening. The horror of that, you know, and the fear. And ever since then, even her hearing steps creates this sense of fear, flooded her body with fear. So many things unfolded, like physiologically, things got damaged. And imagine what happens in your heart and in your mind as a young girl when this kind of thing is your reality. And on Friday's call, Denny spoke so powerfully and so beautifully about love and how all is love. And so for that, yesterday, I gave her the Aditi Devobawa Award because she spoke without fear, without anxiety, without worry, just in the state of pure presence of love. And other people started opening up and the fears started releasing. And this thing that's so unspoken of in our world, this abuse, that many people have experienced, she shows up on the planet at this time to share this message. We're going to do another call with her on this upcoming Friday for anyone who wants to join. Jen, maybe you can put your email so those who want to join can make sure that they're a part of that experience, to have that transmission of healing. But from today's call, Denny and Jill, from today's call, what touched your heart? What's something that you'll bring with you? And for everyone else in the chat, I want to hear from you. What touched your heart from today's call? What's something that you'll take with you into this week and today?
The understanding of love, that love is the answer. I will carry that with me today. Jenny made it very clear. She had suddenly seen what the quality was that she was looking for, this love towards self. She is love. And because she is it and knows it, then love is all that she can receive around her. That's all that is reflected back. So it's love.
I think for me, the humbleness, the openness, the truth of all those that have been talking, and it's like, this is me and this is where I am, and that has really touched my heart.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you both for showing up in love and presence. And thank
There
you.
is no judgment in love.
Yeah.
There just is love. It's our life.
We're about to experience the cornucopia of love by allowing our very being and presence to bless each other in this tiny little box screen that we're all learning how to relate to the quantum field, right? Beyond space and time, we get to be ourselves authentically and bless one another with our gaze. So in this next piece of music, which is inspired by, oh, sorry, Clint, were you ready? I'm sorry, I jumped in.
You didn't just jump in, you flowed right in so perfectly and effortlessly and awesomely.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is that in honor of Dr. Naram's passing, his tradition, we had the great pleasure of recording Arun and Sunanda Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's grandson. And he talked in the beginning about how he and his tradition view life and death. And so in honor of Dr. Naram, we're going to share our presence and bless each other with our presence and send love into the screen beyond space and time and allow us to be in the cornucopia of the abundance of love that's being cultivated and shared in this extraordinary community that has been inspired by Dr. Naram's teachings and Clint's loyal, patient, resilient, and 10-year journey of knowing that this story that he went through must be shared. And look at what riches it's provided for all of us. So allow this piece of music to hold space, part the seas of the world's encroaching us, open it up and share your love with your face. And I think someone will be spotlighting. If you don't want to be shared, we want to honor that. If you don't want to share your presence, then just take your video off temporarily if you'd rather not. But we want to encourage you to remember that your very being is a blessing. And that when we get to see it and share it and honor it, the cycle just expands and expands. So I'm going to share now and play this music. Music is the universal language of emotion, right?
And John, you can spotlight for everyone. I just encourage people, even if you don't feel comfortable, just turn your turn your camera on and receive love. You know, maybe push yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit and just allow yourself to receive this love, whether you're spotlighted or not, as well. Send love and feel the love of each person and how we're all interconnected. And when one of us, Gandhi says, when one of us benefits, all of us benefit to that same extent.
So allow yourself to really be present, grounded, filled with air, and here we go. Allow yourself to expand your capacity to express and be love.
I know what it means to go, to go, to go, to go. Although all of us have to go away one day. I have had an experience of near death. I have come back. But I am going one day. We are not alone. We are with him or her, the spirit.
My grandfather, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, used to say that physical death is the birth of spiritual life. He felt that since light is enlightenment, then also a life-giving source. When we die, we all merge into the great sun or the moon, because they are the celestial lights that give us life, and they take us back again.
we are not alone. We are with him or her, the spirit.
Give us life and take us back again.
This moved me to tears so deeply to be able to see all of us allow the music to hold us in this energy of love. And I just celebrate this gorgeous community and this beautiful impulse to take our healing into our own hands and use love to be the primary teacher. Thank you for giving me the gift of being able to use my music in this way, Clint. What an unbelievable experience seeing the beautiful universes in every single face. Blessings. Thank you.
So beautiful, Gary. Thank you. Wow, so beautiful seeing your faces. I realized that I just want to share one more thing in preparation for the close of this call. Is that as I was on the clinic tour this last week, and as we're in the different locations, and I was taking pulses, and people were coming with so much faith and so much hope, there were several times where I felt like a fraud. I just remember Dr. Naram being there and just how good he was as a healer, how powerful he was as a healer. And I was feeling my own insecurity, my own lacking in everything that I wish that I was, everything that I saw in him, and this whole beautiful ancient secrets that he embodied so well. And I guess, we teach the lessons we need to learn. And so today on the call, I also needed to learn that I'm worthy of the purest form of love. And just as I saw in your faces, and as I listened to the music, and as I heard Jayna speak, and Esther and everyone, and I just felt this beautiful community. I realized it's not any one of us doing it, it's all of us waking up to that we are worthy of love, and it's a good thing for me to remember too. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being love in our method of concluding the call. Actually, Jayna, do you have any final thoughts you want to share before everyone unmutes themselves and says, I love you and I'm with you?
I just am really inspired by what you said, Clint. Because each one of us have that feeling of being a fraud at times. And even the best of us do. But it's so beautiful. You're not a fraud. You carry this energy about you that's amazing. And as so many people in the clinic were mentioning it, you walk into your presence and you feel this love. It's amazing. That's my wish, is to be able to carry that amount of love with me. So thank you. Thank you for keeping this lineage alive. Thank you for your book. And thank you for touching the hearts and the souls of each one of us.
So beautiful. I'm reading the things that touched everyone's hearts, and it's so beautiful, the things that you're writing. I feel like we could make a book out of just these things that you've written today, And so thank you for showing up. You can unmute yourself now. You can just say, I love you. I'm with you. Looking forward to joining with you next.
I love you.
Love you.
I'm with you.
Love you.
I'm with
Love
you.
I'm with you. Thank you so much.
I'm with you.
Love you.
Thank you, Clint, so much.
I'm with you.
Gary.
Jonathan.
I love you.
Love you, and I'm with you.
Gary.
Love you.
You are the
So beautiful.
Love you and with you.
I love you. It's so beautiful.
Love you and
love you.
And I'm with you.
Love you and
I'm with you.
So beautiful, all of you.
Love you and I'm with you.
Love you.
You and I'm with you.
I love you. I'm with you.
And I'm with you.
I love you and I'm with you.
I'm with you.
And I'm with you. I love you. I'm with you. And I'm with you.
Love you and I'm with you.
Love you and I'm with you.
Love you and
Amazing. I love you and I'm with you. You are worthy of the purest form of love. I love you, Dr. Naram. I love all of you. I'm with you. Namaste.
Namaste.